Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. There's a couple of extra good mornings this morning because I am still kind of on a cloud nine from Saturday, from 2 years of Java and the Red Cup Awards. And we're going to recap a little bit over these next few minutes. It is Mental Health Monday, so Dr. Brandy Brooks is going to join us at about 9:10, and also with us today will be Carlos Enriquez, and I invited him in based on previous conversations. There was an incident last night, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we talk about mental health every Monday, so this isn't nothing new. This isn't sensationalizing. A couple of different topics that I saw popping up on my social media timeline in reference to the incident last night, but that's secondary. Thank you. 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 Thank you for everything that everyone did on Saturday. We had an awesome time celebrating two great pillars in our community in the persons of Thaddeus Miles, who received the David William Hart Humanitarian Award. Also, Cindy Diggs received the Katrina Oliver Clark Community Service Award. And when I tell you the love that was in the underground, and I haven't put a post up yet about them, but if Nia's watching or y'all are friends with her, just let Nia know that we celebrated her and the staff at the underground. They were so hospitable, and it was Saturday was really a great time. It was the best Java Cafe in person so far. We sold out of let me tell y'all showed y'all tail this weekend. We sold out of tickets. We sold out of almost all the hoodies, all but two. We sold one red cup. And one that person's in the room and they don't have to reveal herself. We sold those. I would be remiss, y'all. Can y'all do me a favor? And can we just celebrate this wonderful woman that heard my vision around the red cups and made it happen? The red cups were beautiful. Teresa is in the room. 20 of the new Java with Jimmy cups are already gone. We only have like 2 of one candle and I think 3 of the other candle. You all showed up and showed out this weekend, and it is much appreciated. Nariki, it was good to see you. Pastor Marion, it was good to see you. I'm in the process of getting rest, Pastor Marion. It's coming. Dina, good morning, sister. Good to see you in the room. Auntie Java, good to see you. Good, blessed, snowy Monday, Java Fan. Really enjoyed meeting some of you in person at the underground. It was definitely awesome. Sharon Cornelius is in the room. I thought I saw her. Sharon Cornelius. Deacon Coop, Deacon Scarrett. Lord Jesus. What did I used to call her? Cooper Duper. Let's just stick with that. Good to see you in the room. I saw you with a picture with red and black on. Shout out to you for those colors. And this wonderful queen here, many of the pictures. I was actually giving Charlotte credit for pictures that she didn't take. Charlotte showed up and took pictures. My brother-in-law, Rob, had an accident and wasn't able to be there. He felt bad about it. And Charlotte walked in with her camera. Thaddeus had his camera as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. We're going to post some of the pictures later on. Sister Debbie, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Nikki, good morning. Good to see. I thought I was going to see you Saturday. Good to see you in the room. Linda, my sister, it was so good. Let me tell y'all, Linda is the young lady that had the big red earrings on with the black hat that was just killing it. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Marion is remembering her word. It is Mental Health Mondays. We're celebrating, and we're going to talk about last night a little bit. But don't forget to describe your current feelings or how you're feeling today for Mental Health Mondays by using one word in the comments. Pastor Marion says, at peace. Tasha, good morning. It was good to see you there supporting your sister. Good to see you. Speaking of her, there she is. Lasagna, thank you, thank you, thank you. We thank the Heart to Heart. I don't know if it's foundation or program, but Heart to Heart made an investment in Java with Jimmy, and we so appreciate it. And Lasagna, you did a great job on Saturday, just putting everything together and presenting the awards at Thaddeus. It was good. It was good to see you up there, and we'll see more from you soon. Dina is saying good morning to Sharon Cornelius. Dina is also saying nice to meet people at the event. It was a really great event. Thank you. You all made it great. Mama Java is in the room. Good morning. There goes Domingo. He is in the room as well. Domingo and Yahira from South End Roxbury Partnership are going to be with us on April 7th, which is calendars over there. They're going to be with us next week. Thank you, Mingo. It's so good to hear you say and see that. Love you, bro. Only messing. All right, we are catching up. What did Dina say? You have to get those red cups and go hotcakes. We're going to do that. I'm going to talk with Kelly, but we may have to get some mass production of those because Kelly and I was on the phone working it out all the way up until almost the last minute. She worked through a headache and everything. Dina says she's feeling obligated. What, to get the cups? Listen, we'll work on it. The next thing that's coming out will be t-shirts. Teresa hit me up and said her young people, her children, they want Java with Jimmy t-shirts, and so we'll have children's sizes for the summer. Look out soon because there are 2 major t-shirts dropping next month. Folks are going to have to pre-order, so we don't order too much. But I just want to sum up, and we'll do more tomorrow when I'm by myself for tomorrow is Testimony Tuesday. I have a guest tomorrow. I need to get the flyer out. But we'll talk later this week about the event this weekend. It was definitely awesome. Every level of government was represented, municipal. And if y'all, well, we weren't live, but if you were there, you all saw me when Michelle stopped in. And it was every level of government was there. Most importantly, the community was there. All 3 of my biological siblings were there. So it was definitely awesome. Naraki, you will be the first to know when we get the t-shirts out. I'm going to be talking with Props this week. He's already called me this morning, so I'm probably going to get it. I don't see him in the room yet, but he'll be here shortly. Dr. Brandy is going to join us in a minute, but I'm going to bring in my brother because I know he'll probably have a couple little things around trash to talk or say something. I'm just going to give you.
That's the intro I get. That's the intro I get now.
My brother, man. And even the Bible says, know those that labor among you. And so we're just up and saved by the bell because Dr. Brandy just jumped in. So I'll give you 1 minute because you haven't been on in a while. Good to see you, King. I saw you on Twitter last night in reference to what was going on. And for us, Los, and we're going to bring Dr. Brandy in a second, the mental health implications around the incident. This is something that we've been talking about for more than 2 years. Let's keep it 100. You've been very intense and intentional, but we've been talking about mental health in men and things like that for a while. So this is nothing new. But we're going to bring in Dr. Brandy, who is with us every Monday. But I reached out to Carlos today, sort of in reference to what went on last night. I was seeing what kind of
that wasn't a Java with Jimmy mug, was it?
Because there was plenty of mugs there on Saturday, but I'm not going. Is it a Falcons? What is it?
Look, I just grabbed the first mug that I saw this morning. It was red, and then I was like, "Hold on, it ain't." But it is. We are mental health. This is a race that I ran, so we talk about physical health too. So
yeah, she definitely not gonna pull out the Falcons one on 3/28, with 3/28 being the date. So she didn't pull out that one.
Wow. Okay, so we're waking up.
All right, Carlos.
I guess a lot of people, choosing violence. Lord Jesus,
Shots fired. Folks choosing violence this
wait a minute,
week.
but Brandy,
Yo.
that is Los's favorite word. When stuff happens, I'll get a text every now and then. Shots fired.
Yeah, everybody
I
gets
mean,
the chopper.
last night, folks chose
Listen,
violence.
well, that's why we have Carlos here today. And again, mental health. And please let me clarify a couple of things so I don't have to get trolled. And I'm not going to respond to stuff, but let me just set some context. So we talk about mental health every Monday. You cannot witness what you witnessed last night and not talk about mental health from a few perspectives. With all due respect, before Will, let's talk about Jada, her health issue, the implications of that. There's a friend and sister that we are all connected with that deals with the same health issue. So I'm sure she's going to probably give some commentary or whatever. And then maybe because we know her, maybe not. And she just keeps moving and working. But there are
They got a deleted tweet that went up last night. She was active on Twitter when it first happened and then pulled down a couple of statements because people were trolling her on it.
So we'll get into the trolling in 1 second. And so there are mental health implications from the incident. We are not saying that Will needs therapy. We are not saying that we may believe it, but we are not out here to bash. We are not out here to where none of us are therapists. And even if we were, if you understood clinical protocol, you can't even properly evaluate as a therapist anybody without examining them. And so that's why the APA and others couldn't deem he who used to occupy the White House as touched because they couldn't examine him. So let's just set some context here that we are discussing the implications around mental health in reference to what was witnessed last night. Chris Rock made a joke that offended Jada. Will laughed a little bit, and then 2 seconds later, Chris is saying Will is on the stage. There was a slap. Now, here's what I saw on social media. Was it fake? Was it real? Will had been downtrodden for so long because of all the stuff that's going on with the, what is his name? The June, July. What's the August boy?
July.
What is his name?
August.
No, isn't it August?
August. I'm getting
February, May.
I don't know. He ain't released nothing that make it memorable. So, you know.
Oh, Jesus. Mondays have become very interesting.
January.
In all seriousness, though, and Dr. Brandy, I know you always start off, but I asked Carlos in to give some context because away from Will, we have often talked about, and Thaddeus said it right here. Here he is, one of our award winners. Not all jokes are jokes. I say there's 10% seriousness to every joke. So, Carlos, can you set a little context, and then we'll turn it to Dr. Brandy, and we're just going to go back and forth. How important is mental health when you talked about the tools? Let's talk about tools. Would you have utilized a different way of responding out of your bag of tools to which you've often referred when you're in heated situations, depressed, whatever? Talk a little bit about another option. And Dr. Brandy, she's sipping. We're going to come right to you. Go ahead, sir.
So I think people, especially in hindsight, it's easy for people to see that there were other options available, right? And I think the challenge of mental health is knowing how to respond to your emotions, the things you have control over, knowing how to respond to stimuli, external stimuli. You can't control what someone says about you, what someone does to you, but you do get to control how you react, right? And we have expectations based on certain people's stature in society, based on their gender, based on their age, how they react to certain things. However, you know, I think the secret part to mental health is it's different for every single person. Like, we don't know what someone is going through. We don't know how they feel in that moment. And I don't say that to excuse any behavior that may come out of that. But like you said, you can't understand somebody if you don't know them. So, you know, I think that there was an opportunity for Will to check Chris better than that in terms of, to me, what I saw, besides just everybody's just focusing on Will, I saw a black man stand in front of a Eurocentric crowd, black man who made a documentary about black hair stand in front of a Eurocentric crowd and make a joke about a melanated woman's hair. So, you know, you could have checked him on that, just on that, without it being your wife. He could have gone up, he could have grabbed the mic, he could have talked to him backstage. There's a lot of things that could have gone a different way, but it's easy to quarterback it the next day. The issue to me, and I think Will Smith probably does have a therapist. I think the example for me is that if you know that you're sensitive to certain issues, if you know that you're triggered by certain things, then you have a personal responsibility to weigh that before you engage in those places or around those people, so that you can control your reaction when it happens. You can't just say, "Oh, that triggered me and I lost it." That's it happens, but there's results. There's consequences to that as well.
So thank you for that. And usually, y'all know I'm always ladies first and whatnot, but I wanted Carlos to lay some context, because let's just keep it 100. There was all this talk about me being authentic this weekend and whatnot, which I appreciate, but let's just keep it 100. You can't look at that and be aware of some of these, comments in here. There's a reference to the hair. And so, Brandy as a melanated queen, and there is this sort of, thing, you don't touch a black woman's hair. That could be physical. That could also be verbal. What are your thoughts, ma'am, as a woman, as someone that moves in the clinical space in reference to last night? Because I'm seeing the looks in the eyes, Lord. Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, it was definitely the slap heard around the world. Number one is I don't condone violence of any sort, any fashion, at all, period. Financial, verbal, physical, mental, emotional, it's all wrong. So, two wrongs don't make a right. Chris Rock had a joke. Now, I guess on the line of jokes, he could have went in even more than that. I mean, he definitely could have, and he has in other respects. So I look at it from that lens. You're a comedian. That's what you're there for, is to provide some laughter, that type of thing. Was the joke in poor taste? Absolutely. Was you could see the shift? Absolutely. Should Will have done what he did? Probably not. But here's, I guess, where I land on all of this is that looking at it like now, as opposed to last night, and the messages coming in and that type of thing. And I'm like, what happened? Was it fake? Was it real? But looking at it today, I think where I land is on this spectrum of, we have got to have different conversations about how we talk and communicate around what is healthy and what does healthy look like. I was reading this quote that said, not all words are pretty, and pretty words aren't always true. It was something around this sense of, how do we react to things? And we don't know what they're going through. Like, we don't know Will, we don't know Jada. Like, we're referencing them first, the name, but
Let's say that.
And
we're not in their bedroom.
Like,
we're not in the living room.
Them. I wouldn't go up and be like, hey, Will, like, I know you. Look, we don't know their struggles. We don't know what they're going through. And we don't know how that fishbowl that they are under, how that magnifying glass can be very bright sometimes. And so I didn't read his book, but I know he talked about mental health struggles in his book. He talked about, at points, wanting to kill himself. He referenced that.
So let's Dr. B, let's jump in, because we got both of y'all today, and I want to keep y'all balanced with time and whatnot, because there's so much wealth out of both of you. And so I thought you were going to go somewhere when you said talking to. Carlos raised a good point, so let's start a little bit here. Mm-hmm. Carlos, you talked about the fact and that they were in front of sort of a Eurocentric majority crowd. Chris already did the documentary about hair. Jada was sitting there. Dr. Brandy talks about Will in his, like, we also have to, because there is some cadence on social media that the culture took a hit. Because again, what do you?
No. I ain't even feeding into that mess, because that's the same thing of, like, you represent all Black people. No, the man was having a moment. and he had his moment. He does not represent all Black people. He does not represent all Black people in Hollywood. He does not represent all Black people in music. He represents Will Smith.
Right there, right
he
there.
Represents the Smiths.
Come on, Enrique.
In the story, in the day.
She got it.
But
quick,
there is a huge but. There is a huge but.
Yep.
It was all the thing that's so crazy is history was made last night too, but it's overshadowed by the smack heard around the world because he, as a Black man, won an Oscar, and I believe that makes him number 6, 7, 5, something like. I was like, it's something like that. Like, okay, yep, 5. He is number 5, right? And so he made history last night, and in terms of moving the needle around, different people winning and different stories being highlighted and shared. He won as a Black man highlighting a enormously talented, gifted Black family, right? And that portrayal of that. But all of that is overshadowed because of this. People talk about, oh, I'm so disappointed. What you disappointed? Like,
listen, Dr. Carlos, what are your
get out of here?
What are your thoughts?
Out of here.
Come on, Los.
So that's where I am with it. So one, I don't watch the Oscars. I haven't watched award shows since I was probably in my mid-20s. Right?
I wasn't
especially
either.
Not the Oscars. We just a couple of years ago, the Oscars were so white, and now we're worried about it. So I get it's history, but that's not really. I don't care about an Oscar. I like your role in that movie, or I didn't like your role in that movie, right? When I think about the mental health around this, I really don't even think about Will and Jada. What I really think about is the reaction of everybody else. Like, I think about the mental health of those that project the idea that one Black person represents how they see us, like that slave mentality that we're carrying. That's the mental health I think about. Or when men say, oh, he wouldn't have smacked such and such. I want people to understand that, and this is a point that men miss, and I want to divert just for a second.
Go ahead.
Men know when men walk in a room, they look at other men, they assess a threat level. Is he bigger than me? Is he stronger than me? I could do this to him. Believe Will probably wouldn't have smacked a larger man who we thought would have either kicked him in the ass when he turned his back or put his hands up instead of standing with his hands behind his back. I just want men to understand that that's what women go through too, right? That why women do that risk assessment with every man, and men have the luxury of picking and choosing. Oh, I think he's weaker, and I can do this to him. That's the same belief system that leads to domestic violence as well. Oh, this person is physically weaker than me and won't respond, so I can do this to them. So that's really the mental health stuff I'm looking at, is people's reaction to this stimuli that really I could give a damn about the Oscars or that little gold-shaped thing that they hand out. I could give it.
This is the point, and Dr. Brady, will come back to you. This is the point to where I said that there were so many mental health implications. I saw I think it was your tweet that people were trying to reason that their children were watching, and now they have.
Oh my God!
The
same parents that let their children watch WWE wrestling in the Avengers. You know how many women Thanos hit in the Avengers? He was kicking women in the stomach, choking them, and throwing them across rooms. But now you can't explain Will Smith smacking somebody. Like, come on,
get out of here! Video games are worse.
Right. Right.
I ain't even.
Cartoons are worse. Cartoons are worse.
Tom and Jerry. Mike, go ahead, Dr. B.
I'm not even getting into that argument of it was the worst thing ever, because it wasn't, and we know it wasn't. Okay, but I think what Carlos was talking about is real in that what is the perception versus like how are we gonna couch it the days after? So when the PR stuff starts, the PR press and all of that, you think about the incident in the elevator. I look at it like that. Those pivotal moments. So you had the Beyonce incident in the elevator. You had the Ray Rice
launch.
But I'm thinking about that type of thing. It's like, is it going to create larger conversations around, how do we protect Black women? How do we have conversations around difficult topics such as Black woman's hair? Are you kidding? I mean, that is, in and of itself, he did step in a landmine there. He could have talked about the entanglement, and I think they would have been like, he. But you talk about Black woman hair, like.
But
no.
let's just name. Go ahead.
But all I was going to say is that the mental health for me is more around, is it going to create larger conversations around, how do we interact with one another? How do we really deal with conflict? Because again, that was an issue where somebody stepped out of pocket for one person and they were like, okay, this is going to be my response to it. So I think for me, it's about that larger conversation and about, again, how do we engage in conversations around mental health? Because I haven't seen that article come out. I have not seen it. I've seen posts here, posts there, but I'm not seeing the article saying, what are the mental health implications? I haven't seen that.
It may not be an article, but this is why we're here today.
Yeah. I mean, us, yes, but I'm talking about, know how, James, I always talk about this. Is it a moment or a movement? Can this be something that we really start to really engage at a larger scale around these conversations? And everything I've seen to date is all about, I'm so disappointed, and the article was highs and lows of the Oscars.
Let's keep it 100. That the narrative that they're going to do, okay, away from, they are going to, I like how you started out, Dr. Brandy, and saying that this one man doesn't represent all of us. Here is where, so Denzel said it, and we always talk about the aunties. Let's talk about the uncles in the room. Denzel, and there was someone else that Tyler Perry that attempted.
And
let's give the uncles some credit. Denzel Washington.
Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper also went up to him and was like, "What's good?"
Well, never mind. So Tyler Perry and Denzel Washington.
He ain't part of the family.
Okay, so I really sure.
He ain't part of the family. He ain't invited to the cookout. Nothing.
Most don't be laughing at me. And so let's just name and credit the uncles that attempted, but let's just unpack a couple of things here. Denzel said, "When you start doing stuff, the devil comes for you." Will got his book out. Will is rising. The entanglement,
at the highest moment.
The entanglement is kind of, it's going to resurface now and all that. They're going to be memes about August and he should have slapped August and all. I seen those crazy. First of all, can I just say this?
No violence.
As someone who is a commentator, I have, and Los, over the years, I have attempted not to be as judgmental and concrete in my opinion. It's an opinion. It's like a butthole and a nose. Everybody got one, and yours doesn't absolutely mean to be right. And so some of this infallible assertion of your opinion, I just don't understand. Like, can we be a little more, and y'all know I had to go here. Can we trend about the fact that voting rights is about to, is interesting in America?
No, we don't care about that. They don't get like.
I won't say so. So let's be fair here. There are some who don't care about that because we get in trouble.
James, I teach it, and I'm telling you, folk don't care about that right now. What? And that's the thing is, we'll say we care about it, but then everybody is talking about or thinking about what happened at the Oscars, right? Like, okay, voter rights. There's violence still going on in the streets. There's lots of issues, but what's trending is this foolishness. That's
That's the bigger conversation. Come on, Carlos. How do we begin?
So I again, I'm trying to stay in the mental health realm.
You don't stutter.
The mental health realm of America is so interesting to me. Like first, I understand the ideology of nonviolence. However, I don't believe in it to be true in practice. We live in a violent universe. We live on a violent planet. Do I want to see it between people? No. But the reality is it's always been present. So even when we're at these anti-violence marches and what have you, zebra, lion, human being, neighbor, racial, whatever, there's always been violence. I believe there always will be violence. I just, we work to minimize it or protect those that can't protect themselves, right? So even in that, but in America, it's like we have this sense of projection where we project our values, whether you're a white man and you're projecting democracy across the world and what another country should do when you don't even do it in your own backyard. Whether you are men saying that, we got to do this, but you don't do it in your own household. There's just a lot of projection of what others should be doing. And I think as soon as you start projecting what someone else should do, is the moment you lose empathy and you lose your chance to understand why they did what they did. And that's kind of more where I live. I try to live in the practice of reality more than, I'm a dreamer still, but a lot less than when I was younger. That ideology of everything is supposed to be a certain way. Like, we're programmed, this is the most violent country in the world. Our cartoons, our TV, everything we've been raised on is violent. Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the movies to get awards, and so for us to turn around and go, this violence is okay, that violence is not. When we do it, it's retribution. When Putin does it, it's wrong. Like, it's just a lot of contradiction in our own character that we should analyze before we start telling everybody else what they should do.
Yeah.
And there's another piece on here too, and I just want to say to Domingo that
I missed his comment. I didn't see it.
He's talking about what Mike said at the breakfast about Ayanna and Monica in reference to Elma and Louise or something like that. And so it is the bigger picture about what Dr. Brandy has said. It is a bigger picture around. It's just bigger than Will and Jada, with all due respect to what they're dealing with and all they've done for the culture and community and all this other stuff. Like,
everybody talk about what Mike said. Nobody talk about what Michelle said.
Well, I saw your comment too, and you made something about race. And was it the comment where she made that she's been dealing with a lot of white people or something like that?
Yeah, and if it wasn't Ayanna, who was a sweetheart to all of us, if it was me or you, that joke probably would have landed. It probably would have landed much better than Michael did. Like, we pick and choose this cult of personality, our favorites. We want to defend our favorites, but those we don't like, it's okay to punish them. It's okay to be mean to them. It's like,
and it's a favorite of mine. When I heard about it, and I'll shut up, Dr. Brandy, that was the St. Patrick's Day parade, first time. So
another Eurocentric event that we clamoring to get to and make fun of each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's America. Got us clamoring for their attention and what they're gonna think about us. Oh no.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things too is, I was watching this documentary and it was around mental health, and it was talking like how we're always surprised or shocked when it's somebody that seemingly has so much going for them. But the psychologist in the documentary, what she said is that person that's smiling, what you don't see are the cracks behind that smile. And one of the things I thought about is that you could
Carlos said that on Twitter yesterday. I'm sorry. How long has he had to laugh?
You could see that with the acceptance speech that Will gave, where he acknowledged but really didn't apologize. He was like, and I think he was touching, again, this is just my idea, my thoughts. I don't know where he was at in that space, but he was talking about how, you get to such heights and then, you have to just accept everybody just piling in on you every single day. Whether it's what's going on with you and your wife, whether it's your kids, whether it's you, whether it's all that, you just have to smile every single day, laugh it off, Will, ha, 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 ha. And he's like, and I think what he was alluding to is sometimes people don't realize we're human too, and we make mistakes. And it's unfortunate that his mistake came at a moment where it was very publicized. It was out there for the world to see, because now what it's going to be boiled down to for the Karens and the Sarahs and others is that this is exactly what I knew, was that even, Will Smith, he was just faking it because he is just like my idea and perception of what I think Black people are. And
so Karen and Sarah were going to do that anyway.
No. But the thing is Karen and Sarah were going to do that anyways. But the culture could say, but there's Will, or some outside the culture, or that maybe Karen's sister, Monica, or somebody could say, nah, but Will Smith, nah, but Denzel, nah, but this person, but that person, right? So that's all I'm saying. Is that is a very real. That's what's happening. But
what I heard the brother say.
Go ahead,
something I heard him say. Just to Dr. Brandy's point, he said, "I feel overwhelmed about what I've been called to do." Now, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I know we all know what it feels like to be overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is all encompassing. That's a hell of a pressure. That means you're losing, you're drowning to it when you're overwhelmed. You're not in control of it. That to me is what I would, if I was Will, I would take to my therapist. Like, yo, I'm having these feelings of being overwhelmed. Like, am I supposed to represent my people? Am I supposed to defend my family? All these different things. But for me, what it boils down to is Will, Jada, and Chris, they're going to be all right tomorrow. They got all right this morning. They woke up with love. They woke up with food. They woke up with shelter.
And they woke up with more notoriety. They woke up trending and all that other stuff. And yet and still, we're the ones doing it. But after all of that, when they go back to their, where are we? Where will we be? And so, Carlos, based on that and what Dr. Brandy just said, Heidi put up a comment that you don't see the cracks in the armor. And so there's this assertion there, but one or two things in real time I'm thinking about. If you look at it, all three of them snickered. Jada snickered for a quick second, it hit her, and then her face switched. Will laughed. So, Carlos, to your point previously, sometimes, and I hate to use this word, snap. And then also, let's talk about the smile. Dr. Brandy, you mentioned it a little bit. He did smile, and then something happened. And so that notion, go a little bit deeper, Carlos, from a man's perspective, that we put on this front, and we're good, and we're smiling, and we got everything together. And it takes the slide. Couple of years ago, before entanglement or whatever, if Chris had said that, Will might have laughed a little bit. Will Dumbtail probably would have went over and maybe rub Jada's head or whatever. We really got to talk about that the pain behind the smile and the potential and the propensity from one incident. That term, the straw that broke the camel's back, that means something. Los.
So I'm no licensed psychologist, but I'm a people watcher. I study people, and I think, and from my own lived experience, we know we come from a culture. Well, first, as a man, you know that there are certain things that are expected of you, whether they are right or wrong. They're taught to you. You're conditioned by them, for whether it's the men in your family, the men in your community, the men you see on TV, culture as a whole, right? We also, a lot of us share the culture. Those of us that have ancestors who were enslaved, we have heard for generations that we have to perform at our best all the time. You have to perform twice as well as the next one. You can't get caught slipping. You can never let them see you with your guard down. All these expressions. And even before we were free to do those things, we have a history of this country of having to perform, hiding our pain, whether it's the scars on our great-great-grandfather's backs and still working in the field, whatever it is, that history is ingrained in us mentally to a certain degree. And we still not, and probably won't for a while, allow men to fall down. We look at men falling down as a weakness. There's no empathy. Will didn't get no empathy around an entanglement. There's the memes around it, right? Whenever you see a man crying, he becomes a meme. It's categorized as your moment of weakness when you fell from grace, when you were perfect before, whether it's whether you earned it or not. And it's an incredible pressure to have to perform like that all the time. And the more public of a figure you are, the larger that pressure gets, the more projections come onto you, whether you're an elected official, whether you're a celebrity, and it gets tiring. And hopefully you have a safe space to take that mask off, but it gets uncomfortable. It's like those 80s masks we used to wear. They used to smell like bad plastic and used to cut into your face for Halloween. You get tired of wearing that mask. And when it comes off, nobody likes to see it because they're conditioned to not see it. But it's a real thing. And I'm glad, I'm not glad that it happened, but I hope conversations like this come out. I hope we're able to talk about the male ego. My friends and I, since we were 20 years old, you're not allowed to talk about one of our friends, your significant other, because friends, we just don't put our friends in that position where their ego, where they have to defend their woman's honor. You can make fun of their mama, but you can't make fun of their significant other. You know what I mean? Like there's rules of engagement, and everybody has a different one. And when they collide, you're going to get incidents like that. And then we're going to be talking about it, hopefully not for too long.
Dr. B, I see that eyebrow.
No, honestly, I was just thinking about it. The juxtaposition with Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation, and how she had to during those 4 days remain calm and poised, even when questions were being thrown at her that were just ridiculous, and then there was that famous image that you see when she's composed and she's responding, giving an answer, and her daughter's sitting behind her and just looking at her with such pride on her face. Like, that's my mom. And I think about that in respect to what Carlos is talking about in terms of men, women, all of us that are in these spaces and really not allowed to be authentically who we are in those spaces, and having to wear that mask and the generational stuff that is that. Because again, our nieces, nephews, kids, community members are looking at us. And what is it that we project in these spaces? Is it healthy? Is it, something that they look at and say, oh, okay, well, that's how we doing this in this space. And so the generational stuff that Carlos is talking about, though, is real. That hurt is real. And again, I say this again, is we don't know what they are going through. We
Absolutely.
don't know what is going on in their lives. We think we do based on the pictures and that type of thing. And so I just hope that they get support. And as Carlos said, they fine. They gonna be fine.
They're going to get it.
They gonna be able to get 20 therapists if they want, and and be able to process it. It'll be a red table talk conversation in a couple of months or something like that. But I'm just thinking about, for us as a community, is how do we continue to have these conversations, and how do we make sure that we can start to tackle some of this generational stuff that's going on, and the way we are perceived, the way we project, and the way we internalize all of that.
And that is Carlos and Dr. Brandy. This is the thing, even in the comments, folks are being respectful. They're disagreeing, agreeing respectfully. The internalization of our issues in our community on a macro level without a macro therapy model in place only further divides, only further brings to the top our issues, anywhere from complexion to hair type to haves to have-nots. Wow, this is just hitting me. That's the thing about all the stuff I saw online last night, that some of it was just opinionated across the board. But the viciousness of some of what was being asserted, no matter what side you were on.
People need therapy. Yeah. I mean, we're only acting based on what we're projecting, what's inside of us, right? Like, if you don't know, there's a reason why you feel that if you make a comment, what Will did set us back 10 years, right? That's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
But what are your
if you say that, exactly, what is it in you that makes you feel like that? What is it that makes you feel like Will Smith set you back? Where did you get that from? Did you think that up on your own? Did you hear your grandmother say it? Did she hear her mother say it? You know what I mean? Like, you have to know what it is that makes you respond to these things in the manner you respond to. And that I got that through therapy and kind of in reflection and what they call shadow work. And a lot of us don't make time to do that. Why does that thing make me mad?
Carlos, I started to post that last night because I'll be honest, 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have had an opinion, but I even look back today at my post and I was like, James, be sure, you're not, asserting judgment and things like that. And it's a skill set, Carlos. You've been part of it. Ayana, a few other people, pulling me in. It's a skill set to be able to first sit back and be like, okay, why am I thinking like this? Let me not react, but respond. I got those right? Because sometimes we mix them up. Let me not react. Let me respond. And then the other, here go Dina. Dina. Different name on Facebook, but always they have a house Negro thought process. And I mean, even in that, That it's just so.
But even in that, where's the empathy?
Like
where's the empathy in that statement? Right?
Yeah.
It's not like light-skinned blacks whose mothers were raped and then brought in the house chose to go in the house and then chose to pass on that mentality. If you believe that people have that mentality, you should. I would hope. I mean, I almost projected myself and said you should. I would hope that you could see the victimization in that thought process and say, well, maybe I just need to show them there's a different mentality. You know what I mean? Like, everybody is indoctrinated with a mentality. You usually have your parents' religion. You usually have their politics. You usually have their recipe book. You didn't come up with those things on your own.
Yeah. And you usually have the trauma and
the traumas and all of that.
If they haven't done the work, so let's keep that 100.
So
you do.
If you don't have the house mentality, do you have the field mentality? Is one better than the other? Aren't they both slaves at the same time? Ain't they both? Don't we want them both to get free? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just how you look at the situation dictates how you're going to move in that situation.
Yeah.
Now, let's just
and that internalization, that internalization is where the real work happens. It really is, because it's about, how do you perceive, and then how do you internalize that perception? And it's real. It is so real. When we talk about, when Carlos is mentioning the house versus the field, we all slaves. And, what is it? Killer Mike, he talks about it so real. He's like, until as a community, we start to do things differently in terms of, until a community we start to do and see and move differently, we will always perpetuate this same cycle of oppression. It's like we don't need the oppressors to oppress us, because we're doing it to ourselves. So we don't even need external, because we've started to internalize all of that. And so we do it to ourselves as a community. And that's the thing. And that's what I'm seeing. It's like all of these comments, Will is weak, or he's soft, or any of that. Then what is it about in you?
Like they never been punked before. Like they never was scared of another man before. Or never did something,
Yeah. And then the comments around kind of, Chris Rock deserved that. Really? Like, really? He deserved to get hit in the on really? That so what and that's where I think the conversation should go, or this conversation around, well, what was, and I hear it too in terms of it was disrespect. And so, okay, so we've never been in moments where we've been disrespected and we handled it differently.
Right. People get disrespected by their boss all the time and never swing on their boss, but let their kid disrespect them. They ready to whoop their child into sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. That hypocrisy, it drives me crazy.
That's what I understand the comment around disrespect because it's real, but how are we handling this, and how are we internalizing that? Because again, we walk around down the street. I feel like sometimes my dog is disrespectful. In terms of, I be like, really?
You jerk me too hard. Why are you doing it?
Really? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, and so it's how do we respond? How do we react? Because a lot of times you can't control what people say. You can't control what people do. You can't control where they live, what it does. But what you can control is how you respond to that, how you feed into that. How do you internalize what they're doing? And I really looked at last night there is a lot. I mean, at least for me, I feel like it's brought up a lot of like generational stuff. Like for real, in terms of, because some are landing on, the fact of, the alopecia and dealing with a real illness, like losing hair and losing clumps of hair at a time. And what are the implications of that? Others are landing on this whole weak versus strong. And I mean, again, for me, I just hear lots of generational stuff. Lots of that's just been there. And this is just one example to use to talk about it. Whether we're talking about, Oscar's so black, Oscar's so white, people so woke, whatever. Like all of this the
Doctor,
Karen.
there's even sociology around the attachment to hair and the importance of hair. Like, that men and women are conditioned, whether they're melanated or not melanated, to think that beauty lies in long, luxurious hair. The longer, closer it goes to the floor, the better it is. And that mentality leads to seeing people that without hair or with shorter hair as less attractive. Like, that's all internalized thinking that you can challenge anytime you want. You know what I mean? There's no rule that says a woman with 25 inches of hair is any more attractive than a woman that has the same length of hair as me. Like, it's just not. And it's the whole disrespect thing. Like, we also got to put a price. We also got to put a price on disrespect. Like, I know a lot of us, and I'm reading the comments, we wear the fact that we don't accept any disrespect as a badge of honor. I die for mine. I die for mine. Are you any good to your family or your community?
Yeah.
Let's say you're a doctor, lawyer, or you just a janitor to pay for your kids to go to school. And all of a sudden, the bus driver disrespects you. And so now you haul off and hit the bus driver because you don't accept any disrespect. Now you're in jail. Now your family's lost their income. Now your kids aren't going to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be some boundaries here about what you will do for respect or when you're disrespected. And again, it takes some looking inward. And dudes know. People talk a good game about what they'll tolerate. Everybody's been checked before. Everybody's been hit before and tolerated it, whether it's by their parent or a family member or a boss said something slick to you or some passive aggressive stuff, and you tolerate it because you made an informed decision in that moment. And that's what I want people to be able to slow down, have enough emotional control to be able to make an informed decision in that moment.
Yes.
You see, my whole voice slowed down when I said it. I want people to slow down and make an informed decision before. Take a breath, use your toolbox, think about your family, think about who you're important to before you do it. I'm sure it might not have seemed like he calculated, but he calculated. He smiled at first. He had the mask on. He looked at his wife. He saw the pain on her face and said, well, what's more important to me in this moment? Probably my wife. I'm going to walk up there.
Yeah. And then he had people talking to him and counseling him after that moment. We talked about Denzel and Tyler Perry and others saying, hey, even his publicist was like, ooh. So that's why his statement later was the statement that it was. Because he was like, okay, I was in a moment. But
let me go to that point. I saw one other comment, though it was presented in a negative manner. It may not have just been the moment. Remember that there is a whole couple of years, 2 or 3 years of this red table, reference to what Pac would have done and whatnot. So we I would ask us to consider that would the reference I made, Carlos, earlier to the straw that broke the camel's back. I think in the moment, some context or past history played a role into that, as you said, kind of calculated, maybe not best decision in that time, to where it was the moment, but there was also a big old parking lot of, comments, swipes on social media, memes about him and whatnot. And so I just wanted to draw that out too, because it goes back to your point, Carlos, that you've often said, and Dr. Brandy too, that sometimes you do, as you said, you got to slow down in the moment, because so here's a funny thing that tripped me out. There was a story that said Chris Rock denied to file charges with LAPD.
Right.
So then, no. Hold on. Hear my point. I know we are going to go. Who asked him? What was the assertion? And where did it come from?
The police got to ask him. We all watched it. The police got to ask.
They got it.
They got to ask.
They do have to ask, but that, I'm
sure. I am sure. To some degree, that they had some type of conversation or somebody reached out in between all of this happening. And again, that's between them in terms of whether he wants to file or he doesn't or anything, or they make up. They invited together on the red table talk. I could see them trying, again, because money is to be made. So they invite, both of them to the red table talk and they hash it out, right? And they talk about what happened and everything like that. But for me, again, the bottom line is is in those moments, and we all have them. So to just make it personal and make it real, right? Because we're not living in their life. We don't go to their mansions. We don't get on their private planes. To make it real for you and your life is in those moments where you feel disrespected, where you feel somebody is out of pocket, somebody is giving you side eye, are you slowing down so that you don't put yourself, your family, and everything you have going for you in jeopardy? Because as Carlos said, we all have those moments. And I know for me, I be in spaces sometimes where I just, oh Lord, I just have to take a moment, truly, true indeed, so that my Southern grandmothers and grandfathers don't come out of me. And I
They
cuss
starting to come out right
somebody
now. I hear it in your cadence. They starting to
you
come
hear
out.
it? You hear it? And I want to cuss, Lord, like, but I say, doc. Then I remind Dr. B, no, you can't go there because you have more to do, right? You have more to be. You have more to experience, and so again, that's why I say is that Will, Jada, everybody involved, they gonna be fine even if
Doctor,
they're
would you
they,
say that's a discipline that you've been able to build up? Like when you, because
yeah,
for me,
yes, yes,
because
yes.
I don't want to miss that point,
No,
right? Like
no,
if
no,
you
no,
don't
no,
train that
because
way, you can't
oh,
automatically
oh,
slow
for
down. You
sure.
got to pump the
Oh,
brakes and practice
oh,
it.
oh, no, no, for sure.
It's
Because
a learned skill
my
set.
my 18 and 21-year-old self would have cussed somebody out and would have been up there like, okay, oh, okay, that's what you're saying. Okay, let me just take this earring off. Like it would have been those moments. But I think the older
She took
I
the
got,
earring off for real.
I really took the earring off.
Got
But
your
the
You
Vaseline.
would have
older,
grabbed the Vaseline.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I was about to sign off.
I had to grab my
We all
Vaseline.
should.
And what I would also have to do too is because if somebody was like wearing rings or something, I'd be careful because holes, right? It get caught. So I had a whole system. But anyways, so it's like that meme where somebody says,
You're learning a lot about
you'll,
Dr.
you'll
Grant.
be like, my auntie and my grandma were like set it off, but now they like church ladies telling you, don't let it fool you. But anyways,
What did the brother
um,
say? Try
but
Jesus.
you better try
Don't try me.
Jesus and
Don't try
not
me.
me. Okay? These hands.
Let,
Okay.
let-
Um,
oh Jesus!
no,
It's
no,
10
but I
o'clock.
wouldn't, but I wouldn't because at one point I was taking boxing lessons and I learned a little bit of law, and so these hands actually be like weapons. So no. But anyways, but as I was saying is yes, as Carlos was saying, yes, I had to learn it because and even now, some moments I'm having to retrain myself around what are some of your triggers? What are some of the things? Because again, as we get older, we change, we evolve, we adapt. And so
Hey,
that
Jay, put the
is
last comment before that
no,
one up. The one before that.
no. Ha, I
No,
won't be
no, the
teasing.
other way.
The other one. Hold on.
No,
Because
but
I think to our point, like because
yes,
we were saying how
it's
all those things pile up, right? If you don't
yes,
unload those things, you carry them, and then you get to the point of snapping
yes.
because you allow the past things to happen.
Yes,
To that
and
point,
that's
so
the
Dina,
piece is you have to like honestly, it's almost like every so often you have to go through your emotional mental health inventory. And that's important. Okay, props. You better be scared of a Falcons fan because we ain't got nothing to lose, man. Our team is horrible. But anyways, but no,
328.
but no, seriously, sometimes you have to go through and unload, unwind, and really kind of do that inventory of this is where I was, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. And what are the attitudes, environments, spaces, people that will get me there? And so for me, this was something I had to do probably about, I would say 10 years ago, is I had to do an inventory, not just of me, but who are the people around me and who is in my environment. Because again, a lot of that is if you're around people that are doing X or Y or Z, then you're more likely to associate with X, Y, or Z. And so that for me, it was a mental health inventory, a mental health check that I have to do every 3 months. Because I do feel like the more you're in different spaces, the more you have to, again, for you, not for them, it's for you. In terms of check it, because again, you hold that. And I'm sorry, my shoulders, I don't want that weight. I don't want the gray hairs. I don't want the lines. Like I don't I don't want all of that. No, I'm saying I'm all about being
remember
silky,
we're being
you know,
sensitive about hair and
no,
folks,
I mean for me, I'm talking about for me. I don't, because for me, when you in my family, we get grays early. So I'm talking about for me and my family. I think
you owe
go nobody else.
I
But
think
no,
you owe
I'm
Carlos
saying
an
like
apology.
No,
Carlos, you look amazing with
thank
your
you.
gray.
I feel amazing. I feel amazing.
Distinguished. Your gray makes you just
come through with the affirmation, Jesus.
Right? He is a distinguished Black king. And his grays show that wisdom and that you have made it another day. So celebrate your gray. So, okay. But anyways, I celebrate my gray because it means I'm still alive. But I mean in the sense of the stress. Like, think about that, you know, and if somebody's walking around every single day saying, I cannot be who I authentically am. I have to always smile, always laugh, always when somebody hits me with something, say, hey, that's okay. Oh, it's all right. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, no. Ha ha ha. It's all good. Like that's heavy. That's heavy.
Yeah.
And so at some points, we do need to unburden. We do need to unload. We do need to check in with ourselves around that, because it's tragic when we allow it to get to such a point that we unload.
I got you.
And I think we have to make sure that if we're struggling with this as adults, I started commenting about social media. We grew up in the 80s, well, maybe 80s and 90s. Dr. Brooks is a little younger than us.
I'm an 80s baby. I just look young.
Yeah. I mean, James was born in the 69, you know what I'm saying? So it's a whole different, but anyway, you know, those of us that were on big wheels and in the street, like our adolescence was limited to a certain group, right? Now kids are on social media. The pressures come a lot larger, a lot faster from a lot meaner people that are disconnected. And they definitely don't have the tools to be able to unload those pressures, to be able to talk about those angers, to be able to, you know, filter who they let in, who they let out, who they send out. So if we're struggling with it as adults, if grown men are struggling with it in public, then imagine what this generation of young people is dealing with when they're on their phones and they're on their computers and they're getting berated for everything from their looks to their clothing, to where they, you know, it's causing them to wear a mask. If we talk about wearing our mask, I was talking about that 80s plastic mask that we wore on Halloween. They're wearing a whole avatar, a digital separate self of who they really are every day. And if that is not mentally damaging, I fear for what it looks like in 20, 25 years. And when you have to live as a human being and as a digital avatar at the same time every day. God damn.
Carlos, and this is my fear. This is my fear. Forget 25 years. Let's keep into context. A couple of things here. One, Will still has a very strong influence with a lot of young people. What are these memes and that incident going to do on the playground? What is it going to do in the classroom? Here's the other piece. Carlos, I know what you're saying about 25 years out. Post-pandemic, when these young people are coming off a limited socialization experience due to remote learning and this is the fear, sir, that if we don't, as a society and as a people, specifically Black people, make our mental wellness and addressing mental illness a priority, that's the thing that in my gut, I'm just sitting here and I'm looking at social media and I'm like, really, people? And so what is it that Carlos, what is one thing that folks who are listening today can walk away with that either brings hope, a skill set? Because we talked about a lot. We did joke a little bit because we get through these things in Black joy. Because I think all three of us, because of spaces we move in and others, we're not going to get off this StreamYard and it's over. all type of analyzing is going to go on. And so let's just name that we got to take care of ourselves. But what are either, Carlos, I want to end on a real, authentic, but a more positive note where people either walk away with a skill or encouragement that we're going to be, Will and Jaden, I'm going to be all right, but we're going to be all right too.
Right. So, I'll keep it, try to keep it in a very reality-based thing. For me, what I've learned, whether I'm mentoring young people or even doing my own shadow work, is I can't make mental health a priority for you. It don't matter how many times I come on Java with Jimmy. It doesn't know how many times I do the PSA show. I can't make you prioritize your mental health or even see your own mental health. All I can do is in practice ask people, and what I do with my friends and those that I mentor is I ask them to think about why they do what they do. And I just do it in everyday conversation. I have a young person that I feel like is smoking a lot or drinking a lot. Hey, why are you doing that? I can only ask them to analyze themselves. I really can only ask them to look at themselves. If I'm going to look at me, then I want the people around me to look at me. I want them to move in a similar way. And if they can, then I want to approach them with empathy, and I want to continue to help them in that way. But getting everybody to agree that we have the same priority, that's a Herculean task I'm not up for. But on the day-to-day, yes, I can encourage somebody, hey, before you do that, why don't you think about this? Or do you understand why you did that? Yes. Okay, then you don't even got to explain it to me as long as you know. Like, those are the things I practice in real time every day, is to get people to slow down and look at themselves. And then without judgment, step off and see what they do with it.
Dr. B, I'll give a response after, because go ahead, Dr. B.
Look, this has been just a long, engaging conversation. I think the thing I do is just try to be there and listen without any judgment, without any, any thoughts or opinions. I really just try to be someone that someone can come to and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, and provide resources. Because again, one thing I know too is that we don't know where people are on the spectrum of where they are in terms of seeking help. And so I just want to say, okay, you're noticing this. And so what do you want to do about it? And leave it at that. Is what is it you want to do? Because as Carlos said, is you can't make anybody do anything. You can lead a horse to water. That don't mean they're going to drink it. And so it's truly just about sometimes just being a sounding board, sometimes just offering a different perspective, sometimes just sitting there. You don't say nothing. You just in the space as they're unloading. And so that's what I try to do, because again, I realize that not everyone is on that journey of tomorrow I'm going to call X or tomorrow I'm going to do Y. And so we have to kind of elevate that in this space too. And I want to say this conversation has been great and amazing, but I gotta go pay some bills.
Pay some bills. Carlos, I'll keep you for a second.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I definitely appreciated, this space this morning and having this different perspective. And one thing I think Carlos raised, which I think is important, is what is the impact on kids? And then also, what is the impact going to be, since we are creating this digital spaces? How are we going to be talking about it in the digital spaces? How are we going to code for mental health? Right? How are we, like, in terms of how are they coding for mental health in these digital spaces that we're going to occupy? The metaverse is here. It's not something 25 years. It is here right now today. You can go and be in these alternate universes. And so these are conversations we need to have and need to elevate. And so, yeah, that's all I got this morning, but I appreciate it. Love being in this space. Love seeing y'all.
I'm just going to say before both of y'all get off, and I'll hold Carlos for a second. That was the purpose of staying with this and in this, because I believe in this concept of social construction. Somebody somewhere today listened, heard something Carlos said, heard something you said, Dr. B, and to Dina's point, that hopefully, if they are faced with the situation, if one person goes back in 1098-754-321, doesn't lose their job, doesn't slap somebody, doesn't go off the handle in whichever way they classify for themselves going off the handle. That's the whole purpose and the point of it. So Dr. B, thank you. Thank you for this weekend. Thank you for being a contributor here in the Java Cafe.
It was beautiful. Just as an aside, it was beautiful seeing it, being in that space, celebrating you, celebrating Java with Jimmy. And again, national.
Oh, I'm getting you off my screen.
National. We're going national, baby.
Dr. Brandy,
I can't wait for the unscripted behind the music. Yes, I can't wait.
You won't be able to get on without the right mug when he does go national. So you better
look. I got it right here, y'all. See, I just switched real quick.
All right,
real quick.
All right.
I'm saying
product placement.
I'm not.
Look. At least I don't. I'm not rocking the Falcons this morning. So
that would have been a whole nother topic. But Dr. B, in all seriousness, thank you. And we'll be back. Check us out on Fridays at 5:00 on Didi's Cry page, and Dr. Brandy and I will be back here next Monday, April something, for Mental Health Mondays with Jimmy and Dr. Brandy. Thanks, Dr. B.
Bye, y'all.
Los, I really appreciate you, man. I started last night and then I got a text this morning because there are implications in what happened last night. And I think for me, it's just that we've seen a lot of this stuff evolve over time. And the thing that is so concerning for me is, and I don't know all, we don't know all, we don't know what shadow work folks are doing on their own. And again, in social media, but it's an indicator a little bit of where we are. And I'm Carlos, I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit concerned. Go ahead.
People should be concerned about where we are. It's I think to survive this place, a lot of us try to paint the world as how we would like to see it rather than how it is. And I think right in there begins the dysfunction. You know what I mean? Right there becomes the cognitive dissonance when you picture it, when you ignore the sky is blue because you want it to be red, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to start to see things differently through those rose-colored glasses all the time. And part of the challenge is facing reality for what it is. And even as much as I like having conversations about mental health, it pisses me off that we're talking about Will, Jada, and Chris Rock. Like, there's so many more important things in our own personal lives, never mind our community, never mind our cities, never mind our country. There are so many more things than more important things than that. But here we are. Like we at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of skin wrapped around bones with electrical system running through it. And if you stimulate the right electrical system at the right time, you can make a person do something. You can make your knee jump up when they hit you in the knee. You can make them fall down. You can make their muscles shut down. You can make them, they can smell something and tie it to an old pain in their life. Like until you understand that it's just a bunch of chemical signals and your emotions are a large part of it, then you don't have control over it. And for me, I'm a control freak. I like to have control. And when I say that, I want to have complete control over myself so that I can operate in this world to my maximum capacity.
That's why, though the incident was the catalyst, that's why I texted you last night and shifted with Dr. Brandy today, because I saw a window with this out there to kind of try to push some different context and promotion of checking ourselves, because a lot that you and Dr. Brandy talked about did kind of come back to self. There are the macro and societal things, but at the end of the day, how much you let those have influence to some extent, and how much you allow external factors to infiltrate your decision-making, your emotions, and those chemicals being triggered that you talked about. It is, and thank you for bringing out the fact that it's a skill set, because you know more than many. Jimmy of today is not the Jimmy that he was, 5-6 years ago. And so I do want to highlight that you did bring out.
That's a good thing.
Yes, sir. And you did bring out with Dr. Brandy, when you asked her, was it something you didn't say this, but she didn't jump right into this. It's an evolution. But at some point I would hope that something clicks, not a tragedy, but something in them, either a child or just the fact that they recognize their kingship or their queenship, that they begin to make their overall health and quality of life a priority, to where they're addressing overall health, physical, mental. And that is the thing that why I asked y'all to come today, because I just see that if we are not more intentional about combating some of these like stereotypes and typical reactive behaviors coming out the pandemic into the summer to bring things here, it's not doom and gloom, but it's just interesting to have to consider the impact of stuff like this on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's heavy. I think you raise a good point. I mean, I talked to a lot of my friends and parents, and what we've been seeing around young people. Things we take for granted, like them being able to go to school and socialize. Play in the playground. When you take those things away, you see behavior change. And if we're supposed to be elevated above the animal kingdom, then I think that requires some responsibility to act as such. You know what I mean? So, and if we can see that, and here's how it multiplies for me, and my brain starts racing. Like, if we can see that for kids, if you take kids out of school, it affects them. When do we start looking at, our prisoners of society? When do you start seeing that if you take a man or a woman and you lock them in a box for a year, for 3 years, for 5 years, for 15, that's not a healthy thing. That's punitive, and they're not coming back any better. But again, because of how people feel inside, they're okay with it. We're okay with retribution. Some people are okay with Will smacking Chris Rock because it's retribution. He deserved that. Like, that feeling comes from within. It's the same thing. Oh, that person should be locked away for the rest of their life. Why? Because they deserve that. And so when you make yourself the judge, the jury, and execution in different positions, it's just the nature of people. People gone people, man. We're a complex entity, and it ain't easy. It ain't easy.
It's not, man. But I will say that you made today a little bit easier, because y'all understood the assignment, and we met the goal of at least getting this topic more out there, along with others, yourself, PSA, Dee Dee's Cry, others that are doing things, Shaquira, and all of them that are doing things. But the more we do this, if 1, 2, 3 people listening and it changes something, somebody might be faced with a situation today, and something you or Dr. Brandy said is going to be like, I can't do that. And so if that saves their job, saves a violent incident, so be it. Carlos, bro, I appreciate you. Yes, go ahead, sir.
So you asked me, I'm gonna give that one thing. As I'm talking about chemicals and getting all geeky with it, it's the oxygen that you take into your body that will help you calm down. So that counting to 10, it accompanied with a couple of deep breaths. You ain't never took 10 deep breaths and still been wilding out. So, what I'm saying, take 10 slow, deep breaths when you want to balance yourself out. People with anxiety, people that can't fall asleep at night, check your breathing. You're a chemical factory. You need oxygen to calm yourself down. I appreciate you putting me on here. I appreciate you having these conversations to make us all a little bit better, man.
Yeah, that right. You've said some pretty profound things, but that one right there is going to go like in the top 5. Because that was good. That was really good. Check your breathing. And that's the thing that I learned about meditation, and we'll go. You don't need anything, but just if you can breathe, you can calm down. If you can breathe, you can pull yourself in, because that is literally just you going like this. No external.
Taking control. You took control away from your brain and let your mind do it, and now you're controlling your breathing.
Get off my screen, Carlos. I appreciate you, man. Love you much, brother. That was good, man. Appreciate you, man. Give the wife my best.
Will do.
Yes, sir. All right, everyone. I am done for today. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. I do have a guest tomorrow that's coming in to talk about a film or event that's going on in the city of Boston with the anniversary. I didn't get to get the flyer out early, so we'll get that out shortly. Very deep convo, but I feel much needed convo today. So thank all of you that tuned in. Once again, I will say, thank you to everything, to the team, to Rachel that was there, to Newt, to DJ Virgo, to the Underground. And yeah, I appreciate y'all. I'm getting off of here. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. And we will have a guest. I'll put the flyer up later, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.